All right, welcome everyone. This is the Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is September 23rd, 2019, and this is the Monday night's webinar, and the title of tonight's webinar is Scalping for Profits with Multiple Contracts. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar or the webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. Bear with me just one sec. Okay, I'm just now setting up a chart right here so that we can watch this. I had some calls come in and everything, barely made it to the webinar tonight. All right, let me go ahead and take this down and we'll bring this up. And I didn't go ahead and prepare, any like normally like I do slides and different things like that, so to speak, as far as, like little tidbits on writing, what to do in certain cases and things like that. What I want to just talk about is these mid-band trades that Charles and I like so much, keeping in mind that, let's say, for instance, that, I don't know, let's say about 8 o'clock last night, 9 o'clock last night. See this one come right into mid-band right here, but then they immediately go down, they take out the low, and then they stair step back up. Well, if you hold the mid-band as your stopping point, you really didn't make anything. So, you got to get out of the habit of doing that, because most trades will not just go thrust, little retrace, and just keep on trucking down. They just don't do that. So, the thing about scalping is that you can glean some of this. For instance, what if you did multiple contracts and just went for 10 ticks? Multiple contracts went for 10 ticks. This one wouldn't have qualified, in my opinion, because it didn't really get inside this yellow area, even though the trade worked out. Okay. Now you could have done something like this if you wanted to, draw a trend line on it and used like our little object trader tool to take it. Okay. But see, let's say, for instance, that you had started here with one contract. Okay. And you're riding this trade down. You're just riding it, and it comes all the way back in your face. Do you hold on to it? And granted, it finally comes down all the way to 58.40, so you got a 47 tick trade. But would you have kept it? Most people wouldn't, because, when this is happening in real time, you're thinking, okay, they had a huge thrust up over here. This is kind of stair stepping. And, we like to use like this line 2 even, or at least a swing. And if it breaks that swing with a closed bar, you're pretty much out of the trade. Okay, and that little power meter will come on in that case. Okay. How many of you trade, just a curious show of hands, how many of you trade more for the scalps? Just scalping in and out and getting some good trades for the morning. Yeah, I've got several people saying they do. And y'all that are saying you scalp, and well, one runner is a good idea, but the thing is, that I found with even one runner, let's say that you scalp this here. Let's just draw this right here, and let's say that you scalp this, okay, and you got in on that bar as it was coming out of that box. Okay, now to me, the runner should never be, right off the bat. Of course, you could always not let it go back inside the box, right? That way you don't give up a bunch on your contracts. But as this started even trying to stair step back up, you need to get out of it. Okay? Because when you start getting, higher lows through here, they're doing the same thing as over here. They're trying to retrace. And that's exactly what they ended up doing. Okay, let's see. Not necessarily scalping, but having a goal of 10 ticks to learn. Okay. Well, 10 ticks will definitely, do you a real good job in your trading to begin with. There's no question about that. Because see, just to give an example, now this is way in the middle of the night because all I did is started this feed here real quick and, just pulled the slider over to, 3 o'clock in the morning because I don't trade at that time and just see if we could get some scalps. All right. Does everybody see though that if you did want to use, for instance, let's say you were up, but let's just pretend this clock's not here at all. If you did like 2 contracts, there's $200. You do 2 contracts again, you might have gotten stopped out, you might not have. It doesn't look like it would have stopped you out, and you got 10 ticks. There's $200 more. Then here's a trend line break, and there's another 2. Okay. Anytime they get around this mid band and everything, you can draw those trend lines. For instance, even on this one right here, let's say that you had gotten short on this one when it touched midband and you just simply short it like right underneath this wicked candle right here. So you're short, right? Well, the minute it does this, you can tell there's a trend line there that you could actually break. Okay, let's see. David says, I get out of runner very quickly, so is, more like a scalp. Okay. Yeah. And, the thing is, if a person doesn't try to ride, every single trade, because the thing is, markets don't always do this. They just don't always do this. Okay, this is pretty trendy right here. It's trending, but it's still in your face, isn't it? Because let's say that you had gotten, I don't know, filled right here to give an example, like I drew this box. This is still pretty much, yellow bar, right back in your face, yellow bar, and then it gives the run. Okay. So now, if you were trading this and you got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, does anybody see a trade at all, or would you just stand down? Anybody? Well, you'd have to chase it yeah, you could draw your lines, obviously. For instance, if this was to, let's see where it's been first off. All right, it's been to that little swing right there. See it? Right there. It has not been to this one right here just yet. And looks to me like it hasn't been here to this one either. Right here. All right. So I would be more than likely looking for a trade somewhere in those spots right there. Yeah, predictor is real good to get these trades, by the way. That's another area that I would highly, highly, highly recommend would be these predictors. Okay. So you want to try like a predictor trade and see if we can get a little scalp? Let's just try it. Let's go over how to set up Object Trader for scalping. Okay. Because if you're going to scalp, what you really want to do is you want to get in a trade, quickly and just go for those quick trades. Now, we're not going to do runners tonight. We're going to just try to scalp and see what we can get to. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this max quantity to 3. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and put the quantity interval at 3. That way, it will, the quantity at 3. So that way it goes in, with all 3 contracts at once. All right, and then I'm going to go here and we're going to simply do targets 1, 2, and 3 for 10 ticks. Okay, so we'll just change this to 10, this to 10, this to 10. And you might even do a third one a little bit more as far as that goes. You might even try to go like, 13 or 14, something like that, maybe a full bar. Because if you did get this, that would be 10, 10, and 14. That'd be 34 ticks. That'd be a $340 trade. But now you have to think about this part of it. All right. What would you want your stop if you had this set at 10 ticks? Anybody? Because the ultimate goal is to try to get, 10 ticks like a $300 bill plus this extra 4 here. But what about that stop being 15? Yeah, 5 or 6 might be a little bit too tight. I would probably do 10. Let's see, I thought you'd get out if it goes back in the box. Well, keep in mind, Brian, what we're going to talk about here is just strictly for scalping 10 ticks. So we're going to probably take a loss or, a loss or something out of these trades right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the stop of 10. And we'll do, let's see. We don't really need a break-even trigger, actually, do we? All right, and then let's name this template. So we'll call it our scalp template. So we'll save it as our scalp. And then that should be all we would need to do. All right, so it's got 3 contracts, 10, 10, and 14. This one won't even count here. Okay, so we're going to try, let's see here. If this gets like right up to a predictor, for instance. By the way, you can turn on predictor too if you want to. Turn on predictor. And since this is red, you would want to turn on your require midband. And then it would only look for this trade. It wouldn't look for this trade down here. And then you would want to turn on your short or turn on your LSR, which actually automatically turns it on. Okay. And you would probably, I don't know if you'd want to do auto or not. Let's just try something and see what we can get. Let's see, we'll do a touch. Let's do a touch +1 because it may get within 1 tick of it and then roll, so to speak. But a lot of times you see they come into the predictor. See there, it's coming into that middle line in it right there and there. But they don't always. So what do you want to do on that? If we choose to go inside it, this is a 6 tick predictor, so you'd have to do actually like touch -3, which would get it all the way up to this line. And I don't think you'd get that many trades if you did that. Okay, let's see. All right, let's just try something and see if we can get, I'll start this up and see if we can get a predictor type trade. And if we get stopped out, we get stopped out. No predictor on that one. It didn't touch it. We'll try to get another one. Probably should have taken that one. We could have gotten 10 ticks, but that's okay. We'll wait for another trade. I sure wish we had a mid-band trade, though. That's something we've got to add to this, too. See if we can get us a little trade. See, this one could have been a decent one. That's a minimum criteria trade. So we really just missed out on a pretty good trade to begin with because that is one we teach. Matter of fact, it would actually show minimum criteria short right there on that bar, I think. These do, but this one didn't really. So we'll see what we can get. Let's do it more in a box. This has gone down quite a bit, so I'm expecting at least a mid-band. So I'm not going to do a predictor. Now, anybody know why I'm not going to do a predictor now instead? Well, we did. We just did a predictor. Let's put our stop nice and tight just in case. And that's going to stop us. Maybe. Yeah, that's going to definitely stop us. See how they're stepping up? By the way, when you get in something like this, could you actually take some money fairly quickly? Like off the table? Well, we just missed it because it looks like it's going to stop us still. Yeah, definitely. All right, now when I get something like that, I would literally stop this trade out. So we're down like $160. Everybody see that? All right, because we didn't get in the trade that we probably should have right up here. But let's see if we can use the box instead of predictor then. Let's use, turned on, still predictors on, just a second. Let's kill this real quick. Let's go with boxing it in instead. Now we got to get $340 back. Let's try region instead. And we're going to draw the region. And we're going to let this see if it can get up here. Let's draw on our chart too, see where it's going. And you got to swing right across here. You don't really want to go much higher than that right there. You know why on that, everyone? Because it would be taking out our identified swing. Okay, let's draw our box. Let's see if we can get a trade. We're going to do 3 again. No trade yet. Got to be able to draw a box. Right now the box is right here. What was your initial thought about not taking that predictor? Because it thrusts down so much. When they do that, when they're going sideways, those predictors are really, really good. And we're going to get this trade. If it takes out touch plus, yeah, we'll do 1. We'll just try to get 10, 10, and 14. That's going to literally only get us back to break even, by the way. Because by turning this on auto on that LSR, you see how that stayed on. Now, it won't stay on if it gets in this trade right here. You got to really be careful with this LSR. And there you go. You just got you a trade. Now, you could run a runner if you wanted to, absolutely. But we said we weren't going to, so let's don't. Let's just try to get to the low down there is all. Everybody see how we box that in right there? Okay. Now, probably if I was trading this with my account, I would more than likely, if this rolled back out of this box, I would actually go with more. But let's just leave it with what it is. Let's see if we can get back to break even. If we can get back to break even, we'll be happy campers. Now, keep in mind, if this blows through this bottom, we're not going to get it. Okay, because we're trying to scalp just to see what we can do. $80, $60, maybe we'll get back to break even. Now, do you feel pretty good when you get that? You know, for instance, you were just down on your first trade because I messed up on my object trader and didn't get everything set right. Now, I'd probably run this as a runner, but let's just leave it like it is. All right, so we got us a decent little trade. All right. Now, if it actually comes back into this area right here and rolls out, you could actually take this trade. See how that's looking left to trade the right? You could take a shot at it. If you got up this time of morning, you could definitely turn that on. See that? And then put your stop nice and tight just above it. Remember, we got a 10-tick stop, so we're not giving it much. And it looks like we got, oh, look at that thing. All right, so we got to 420. Now, that's not too shabby, by the way, and you could be pretty happy with that, right? Okay, and keep in mind, that was just strictly following the little lightning up and then boxing it. And to me, that's still your safest way to take a trade, because if you do, you know, like just when it kisses a predictor or something like that, they're going to go through and they're going to take those 10-tick stops. There's not a question in my mind about that, because 10 ticks, by the time you get your market fill, is just no kind of a stop. Okay? Let's see if we can get another trade. And we're going to do it on the same way that I just taught. We're going to only do it if it's stair steps. It's got a stair step for us. If that goes down right there, I'm going to take this. That's a mid-band trade. See it right there? It may get us, though. Looks like it's going to. I'm going to kill it. Kill it. See what I did there? Took a mid-band trade and got out of it really, really quickly. Okay. Now let's see if we can get in a trade. Let's draw on our chart. This shotgun down, so we're going to have to see where we can get. That's where I think it will hit, is right in through here. Now this looks like this could be a trend change. What do y'all think? Anybody? Well, if you're a gutsy trader, this is what you'd be looking for. You'd be looking for it to kiss right here. And if it bounces, you could try a trade. Okay, let's see if we get any kind of a bounce, and we'll try it if it does. But it's going to have to at least come down to where it broke out. Okay, so we're not going to take it otherwise. Now that's actually a little phantom, which we just missed, so we're not going to take it. That didn't come down deep enough for me. Not deep enough. Needs to come down to right in here if we're going to take it. See, anytime they shotgun like this, does anybody notice that when they shotgun like this, they usually change trends? Or at least make it to where you're going to get either a phantom type trade. This looks like this might be more than a phantom to me. See it breaking up? Let's see if we get a green background at all. We'll take a trade if it retraces. Now, if it just blows up, hey, we're going to miss it, because that was not deep enough for me to take. I don't like that trade right there. You could box this in as a phantom, but to me, this is still breaking up, not down. So I'm looking for a trade right down here around this mid-band. Let's look to the left to trade the right. Okay, we've already been here. That's that little swing right there, right? So we have not been here. We're going to draw a line here. So this is going to be our little sweet spot, drawing our two lines on our charts. If it gets inside that box at all, I will take the trade. See if we can get something. Not in our box yet, is it? Green background, though, it's probably changing trends. Now, does anybody chase these trades when they start doing this? Because if you're going to chase this trade, you really need it to already be in it when you box it in. Okay? But if you're going to be a retracement trader, there we go. We got a green mid-band. Let's see if we can get a retrace trade. And let's see if it comes right down in here. We're going to turn on long enabled also, or long inside. And if it touches this swing right here and bounces, we're going to take the trade. See high, low, higher, high. So if it checks here, and that's a big if, it's not doing it yet, but we're not going to chase it. You'll find some of your best trades will definitely come to you if you just simply wait for them to come to you. Because if you chase it, I mean, I could hit the button right now and I just about bet you it'd retrace in your face. They usually do. The moment you think that it's going up some more, see what I mean? See there? All right, let's see. Now this swing is not identified. See here, the top wicked it. They're going to take that out. That's a higher low so far. What do you think? Not yet, though. Here we go. Here we go. All right, there we go. We're in the trade. All right, and we're going to just strictly take the scalp just to see if the scalp works. Nice tight. Bring it up 6 ticks instead. and we got ourselves, it looks like another trade. So that's decent, right? Okay. So what you're doing here is you're just doing, like a lot of our people do in the room, they take these scalp type trades. Now, if you get a predictor like this, see where that blue predictor is saying where this should go? Even if you're on a scalp and you're in a runner, you can go ahead and go to like that. That should hit that predictor because that's actually gauging all this price action right here. And our stop, I would go ahead and raise it some more, probably break even. 3 ticks. See if we can get that trade and see if we can get $500. Okay, see how we diagnose that chart in real time too? This obviously has already happened because the only way I can do it is during a webinar like this. But, clearly in the room this morning, we did the same type of analysis. And we got some nice trades too. There you go. You got probably 600 almost. Now see, if you would have left a runner on, you might have gotten a little runner there. Okay? All right, let's see if we can diagnose where it's going to next. Let's draw on our chart. This is a lot to do with looking to the left to trade the right. Thrust, retrace, there's another swing right there. Like so. And then your main swing is right down here, which is not identified very much. It's only identified by like 5 ticks. So I'm going to draw another line right there. And this is a little sweet spot for it right here. Anywhere in that box. Now, if it runs, it runs. We don't care. We'll look for it in another spot. We're strictly looking for these retraces. See if we can get one. You ever notice if you don't that they just shoot up a little bit and then they retrace on you anyway? I mean, markets are brutal sometimes. You think this is going to go to the moon, and it may not. I mean, it's hitting a predictor, so predictor's saying you're going to hit your head here. And this is why a lot of people lose money trading, is simply because they either chase trades or they let, see there how it's taking out that swing, they let all their contracts ride instead. And there's only certain times you can let them all ride. You got to take some profit. I find myself, if I do that occasionally, I guarantee you I can be up $600 and literally be back to 2 bills. And you think, why did I do that? Anybody else do that? Because it's in our nature to think that every trade's going to go through the roof, and they don't. See, look here, it's coming right down inside our box. Might have just missed that one, actually. We'll see. We'll see. It's almost right at a predictor, isn't it? There's a little trade based on our line. Let's see if we get anything. I'm going to put a pretty tight stop on this just in case. This is what we talk about it being not really going back inside our box. That's getting a high, a low, lower high, same low. So let's see if it'll take out that line. By the way, rather than letting this come all the way back against us, couldn't we do this? Say, you know what? I'm going to get, well, too late now. I didn't get our target. See if it's going to. Nope. You can tell it's not. Okay, so we got stopped out on it. All right, so we're at 480. Let's see where it could go now. Now that it's breaking here, I would say it's going to go at the bottom of that box, like so. And I will put, whoop, we're going to do just 10. Sorry about that. I just did what I normally do in my trading. Let's go ahead and get this to 10. See where 10 is. That's 12. That's pretty close. See if we can get, and we would put our stop just underneath 67, I would think. Close of the bar. See if that bar goes up. Didn't get it moved in time. Gonna get me? Now I'm gonna definitely put it there. They checked that swing, didn't they? Nice and tight, just in case. And that could be a runner, by the way. Now, keep in mind, again, we're talking about just scalping, okay? So from where'd we start on this, just real quick? We started, let's just pretend we got up at, this was our first trade, wasn't it? We talked about this one, but I think we set the object trader for this one. So this was our first trade, right? So let's say you were up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, something like that. Now it's 7 o'clock. You've been up 3.5 hours. Could you be done? And the answer is absolutely yes, right? Okay. Now let's look at this chart and see if you're going to trade any more. Let's see where it should hit its head. Let's see if we can figure it out. I got this going 15 times, so let's slow it down. We got to figure it out. All right, so let's draw on our chart. I've already been here, have not been here. So we're going to draw a line. Your little micro swing, thrust, retrace, thrust, that's an identified swing right there, isn't it? So let's go to the left and see where it's at. And let's go ahead and put our, looks to me like more than likely right in through here, actually, right on this little swing. If they take this out just barely. And let's see if a predictor actually shows up at all, because we are getting a high, a low, lower high so far. It did hit a predictor. You got 10 ticks. Let's see if we can get one more trade. We're just going to try to do $1,000 if we can get it. Or we'll be down to 480 and we'll have to do another one. Normally when I see this, when they barely take out the support here, you know, they'll try to come down and test that if they can, and watch and see if they don't, because I see this all the time where they'll just barely break support. So I'm going to put a region inside that little box there, right down here, and we're going to turn on see if we can get that, because they're trying to take this little swing out right here, and let's see if they'll come down and test. That would still be a higher low if they did it, but you see this all the time. Remember in the room I talk about this all the time, where they barely take out support and it's still a long trend. What they're going to do, they're going to check this one also, more than likely. Now if they go inside this box with a closed bar and pull back out of it, I'm going to take it anyway. But let's see what they do. That's too slow. Just in case it doesn't get it down here. Watch it blow through it and do a phantom. Everybody see what I did? The box is set up to where you're just simply trying to get down within a couple of ticks of that little dot right there. And it looks like we got another, well, we didn't get 3 contracts, we've got Forgot the third one, so we won't get to 1,000 on that one. Okay? Now see how well that works actually, everybody? Now let's go to the time that we open the room and let's see if we can do the same thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward this. This is 7:25 and we're going to go to 7:50 right there. This is 7:59. All right. Now this is where I called this trade this morning. Remember I told everybody that you really wanted to be in this trade right here. And see, you could have stayed in this trade too. But does everybody see also that instead of, for instance, if you're not just scalping, if you do want to run a runner, you've got to get the little zigzag, okay? Which right now, see, this is a big thrust. There's a retrace. And if this takes out that top, that should hold on any kind of pullback. If it doesn't, you got to get out of your trade, okay? Now, remember, we were in this trade this morning. Some of our people even took it here. And if you remember right, it went up to that predictor. See there? But wouldn't you be out of the trade? See how it zigzags? And then it takes out that swing right there? You could be out of that trade. And the way to do that, let's just back this up and let's take this trade for the fun of it right here. And then let's go through exactly how to manage that trade. Or if you want to do this one instead, because I called this one in the room this morning. Where is this trade going? Anybody that's looked at charts for a long time? Anybody see to the left what it's doing? There's a swing right there. Everybody see it? That's also a phantom. Notice how it thrust out and it never touched that swing. So what they do is they come back and they test those swings. So could you be ready to take this trade just like this? If it comes down and tests that line, or if it takes out that right here. Didn't get touch plus 2 yet. That will there. There you go. Everybody see how well that works? Okay. Now, let me show you how, if you want to run a runner instead, okay? Now, what you want to do is you want to scalp first off, so we're going to get 10 ticks. And then I'm going to show everybody, because I've had several people wanting to know, how do you, for instance, get out of a trade and not let it go all the way back to mid-band, okay? So this trade was actually called in the room this morning. You'd obviously bring your stop up by now. All right, and you're riding your runner, okay? You haven't got your 10 ticks just yet. They're trying, but they haven't got it yet. And then let me show you how you should actually hang on to that trade based on swings, because swings are really important when you're trading, okay? And I said I wasn't going to do anything but the scalp, and you can see that you can do well, but we had to trade about 5 hours. Okay. But let's see if we can do something with this trade and just use the swings themselves. Okay. And keep in mind that you're talking about lightning identified swings. Let's fast forward this a little bit. It's getting slow. All right. Now, does everybody see the lightning on this chart right now? Let me just draw it. There's your lightning swing right there that's identified. Now that's too far down for me to put my stop because this really shotgunned up, okay? When they shotgun up like that, what you've got to do is you've got to wait for it to at least get a little pullback so you can get another swing. But in the meantime, you probably want to move your stop at least to mid-band, just in case, okay? But what you're looking for when you're looking at lightning, let's see if it did it. I don't remember this trade exactly, but see, that's getting a swing right there. See right there? Now you could bring your stop right underneath that swing. Okay, and then you could actually ride a runner. See there? Where's the swing now? Well, you're trying to get one right there. Double topping. Remember, we called this out in the room this morning too. They kind of shot up, if I remember right, to almost 38 or something, or 33 was as high as they went. I don't remember exactly, but if it tops out like that, you got to protect your coin. Okay, you know, if you want to use all the way to mid-band, you're going to be giving most of your trades away, because trades do this: they thrust, then they retrace, they thrust, then they retrace. See, you just got taken out. Okay. Now, would that be a pretty decent day for everybody here? Pretty decent, right? Well, let's see if we can get another one at all. We got a swing right here that's identified. Low, high, same top, so that's your identified swing. And you could draw another line right here. And they're coming down a little bit, so could you actually get ready to take this trade? If it decided to break here, you know, comes down and kisses this line right here, swing right there to the left. Touch +2. We're not getting quite down here. Trying to break here instead, see if it does. Don't you just hate it, you know, when they just bring a bar up and then one right back in your face? That one may close though, we'll see. If it does, we'll get the trade. Just has to touch +2. That's 2. Need one more confirmation. If it goes back inside the box, it won't ever fire either. It's going to have to do the 2 plus the 1 to confirm it. That's 2. That's 1. By the way, you got another little tool over here called lightning. If you want to take a trade on it, see where the meter's red now? If it turns green, you could take a trade. But keep in mind, that's going to break this swing right here to get that trade. This one's going to pretty much do it anyway if it does the touch +2 plus the 1 confirmed. There's our confirmed. All right, so we're in the trade. Let's go ahead and put our stop just under the swing until it identifies this swing. There's no identifying this swing just yet until this closes above this swing. Then you'll have an identified swing. So stop's right under here. If it closes above it, we'll have an identified swing here. There we go, that's good enough. All right. Everybody see how to do this, where you can actually do this each day of your life if you just study your charts and everything, because it does work. Now I want to show you something else. We're only about 17 minutes from closing, but does anybody remember that I called 72 in the room this morning? Anybody? And said it might take all day to get there? Let's study that just a little bit. We'll go ahead and let this trade do its thing. But does everybody know how to do this little thrust, retrace? Anybody not know how to do that, where you can actually tell where this is going by where this has been? Because they seem to do that thrust, pull back, and then another 100% move. Because that's really important. It flat works. All right. And let's see here. We actually did this one, thrust, retrace. So let's see where this first one went first. There's your thrust. There's your retrace. There's your thrust. See how that came perfectly into that area? Now they took it out a little bit. All right. So then you do it again. Haven't quite been there just yet. See it up there? All right. And then you do it again like this. See 1, 2, 3. How about 1, 2, 3? Okay. So we'll do that one. Like so. And that's your retrace. Let's say in 77. And let's look to the left to trade the right. There's a swing right there, a lightning 3. And that's how we drew it in the room this morning right there. Does anybody, did you look at your oil today? It did a lot of flipping around and everything, but it got right up to there within about 2 ticks. All right. Now let's see, this is about 8 o'clock in the morning, just right after we opened the room. Now, if you had taken this trade that was called in the room this morning and this trade that was called in the room this morning, did you have to keep trading at all? Or could you have actually gone ahead and just said, you know what, that's good enough for me, I'm done? Right? Exactly. Okay, let's see. So it's not identified, but would you let it come down below that point? Well, what you want to do, Mindy, in a case like that is, if you're getting, the good thrust retraces and you've got like this phantom background, to give an example. Let's say we took this trade right here. Notice that your swing was right here, which was identified. So they did give you a higher low. Now, what I normally do, and of course this can get you sometimes too, though, is if it comes down and, bounces like off a predictor, you don't have to wait for that box to totally fill like that. Because we waited for a full touch plus 2. It's working out. It's fine. But, that's still, to me, a little bit more of a breakout than I like. Okay. All right, let's fast forward this a little bit and let's see if we can get some other trades. See, we stopped out. Notice how they came down just below our swing. That's what they do. That's the one thing where if you put your stop, see where I diagnosed on my chart and then this was our identified swing right here. Remember I had the line drawn? Look where they tested. See, so you have to keep your stop there. That's the thing. When this was going sideways like this morning, anybody remember this? This was just nuts going sideways this morning. But it held that swing. And we even called that trade right here, if I remember right. And then there's let's look here and see if we get something else. Drawing our chart. Identified swing down here. And then here is a support level. Not in that chop, I wouldn't do this. I will if it comes down lower. Now this is your identified swing again right here. Does anybody remember where we called that in the room this morning? Why did we do that just then? Simply because it bounced right off support. And if you did that with, the little scalper, you did pretty good. Now, if you remember right, we actually talked about this little trade right here, but when did we take this trade? Does anybody remember? Because this actually did a little phantom first, right down here at phantom, remember? And if you're going to take that phantom, you already missed it. See, it was a line 1 phantom. So you don't try it again. All right? And we actually called this trade when it went up to 09, remember? Up here, and it rolled over. Anybody remember that trade? But if you missed that trade, where could you actually take it? Well, looking to the left to trade the right. Let's see here. Let's draw on our chart. Let's see where this might go. Got resistance right there at 13. They haven't been there yet. You got resistance right here. See the little swing right there? And they're kind of tagging it. So could you actually take that trade if that bar closes down? If it holds that little resistance area there? What do you think? You got to make a quick decision. What says the team? Yeah, short below 05 because it kissed that swing right there. Now, I'd put a pretty tight stop on it, though. Okay? Now, if you missed this trade this morning, and keep in mind that what oil did actually today, pretty much all day, it was just in literally pretty much just retraces, but then uptrend, retraces, then uptrends. Anybody notice that? All right, so what if you didn't get in this trade right here? Does anybody know where you might be able to get into it again? Let's just pretend you didn't get a trade at all. Let's see if we can get something. If I was looking at this and I'd done a phantom and it gave me 10 ticks, but then decided to go against what I'd be looking at, I'd draw a line right here. I'd draw a line right here. And if it comes back in this little sweet spot on the way back up, I would take that trade. Let's see if it actually did, just for the fun of it. What do you think? What says the team? I'll bet you it hits 89-ish. I think we might have just missed it. That was kind of quick. Got it going. Yeah, we missed it. See how it just kissed that predictor? Came within 1 tick of that predictor right there. Will it give us another chance? Maybe. But you got to be careful because, see, if you didn't get the trade already where it was near that predictor and you drew your lines on your chart, you probably aren't going to get that trade. Okay, but let's see if we can get a trade of any kind in here. See if it'll kiss it. Got to at least kiss this line that I've got drawn, and we'll see if we can get a trade. Got to touch the line. It can do all at once until it touches that line. Put a fairly tight stop on it right there. Let's look to the left to trade the right. I do have resistance right here that they shouldn't take out. Now that's giving it 10 ticks. Everybody see why I did that? I'm looking to the left to trade the right. That's where it hasn't checked yet. So I'm giving it some wiggle room to check it if it needs to. We may get a little trade. If it would identify the swing, we'll put our stop right here. Now remember, on these, you're pretty much having to hold this to get these 10 tick. You're not going for runners per se if you don't want to. You know, you can simply look at your lightning swings. That's good enough right there. And that's going to get us, maybe, maybe not. It just kissed resistance again. It's going to get us. See how they kiss those lines above them? Oh, that one took us. Let's see if we can get it again. If it rolls, I will take it. Stop just right above there. See why I took that, everyone? Now, if we would have put our stop to that left, we would have stayed in that trade. But, you know, you can protect your coin, too. And that looks like that trade's going to work. There you go. All right. Now, always be diagnosing your charts. I said this in one of the webinars recently. Always be diagnosing your chart. What would it take for this to change trends? Anybody? Because you always got to know that. All right. So what I normally do is draw on my chart, like right here. See, you're getting higher low so far. Now you're not ready for a long yet, but if they were to break this and come back and kiss this area right here, this to me would be a trend change. If they keep going down, we'll look for another short trade. But I always watch for, where they kiss resistance, for instance, and then if you start getting any higher lows or anything like that, you got to watch it, because this is still pretty much a big uptrend. Thrust, retrace, big old ABC type trade, barely takes out the tops here. They took this out a little bit. They haven't taken this one out. Could they actually head this thing up? Let's see what they actually did. We were in the room. I think I called this trade. I'm not going to take it, but let's see what it does. Yeah, I called that trade for sure, remember? 95, 96. We took that trade. By the way, that would have added to our bottom line. That would be a double bottom, and you can absolutely take that type of a trade. Absolutely. Okay. Now, when this actually does this right here, what do you think? Anybody? What do you think? You got to make a quick decision. Box it. Touch +2 if it breaks a little swing there. Absolutely a long. Now, like I say, I'm usually in this trade just when it goes above mid-man myself, but we'll let it box. That's fine. Okay. The only problem with a box is you got to put your stop under the box. Or if it goes back into it, you got to get in and out of trades. And sometimes that can be detrimental to you, especially if they're chopping around. You got to be real careful with that. Everybody get something out of this webinar tonight where you can kind of see how to scalp and also how to do some runners. I didn't plan on doing the runner part, but I'm just a runner guy. I do like the runners. So what you want to do if you want to do the runners is you've got to set your third target for, the runner. And then you've got to use your stop accordingly. Thank you for burning it into your memory. Yeah, that's the one thing that's real good about, this is absolutely, it builds up muscle memory. There's not a question about it. Does anybody remember where this trade went? If I remember right, let's look to the left, trade to right. 43, 55. Let's see what it did. I'll fast forward it. Just hit your target right there. Everybody see how I drew those targets ahead of time? We did this in real time in the room this morning too, if you remember right. This trade just literally shotgunned up right before we closed the room today. Okay, now that would have been another trade, right? That was what we call a mid-band trade. You don't know for sure if it's going to work, obviously, but so far it was, so it's fine. Good little trade. Would you have taken this trade right after the room closed? Well, you should have already been in it if you did. Okay, if you didn't take it, you got to draw on your chart and see where it might retrace. Well, it's already been there. You'd have to take it pretty much when it just touches that line, because that's the only place it hadn't checked yet. So if you wanted this trade, you pretty much have to take a shot at it, take a chance on it. See what I mean? Because you missed it down here. But if it holds this little swing right here, then it would probably still be a good trade. Let's see if it did, just for the fun of it. Yeah. Tried to do a little higher low. All right. So we're going to do this tomorrow in the room, and let's real quick check and see what oil's doing before I wrap this webinar. I want to kill the market replay. And then we'll go to a regular account here in just a second so that we can get the actual data. I'll give you an idea of what it's going to do. That was loud. Look at those lines I drew on my chart. Remember 71, anybody? That is just amazing. It came within 2 ticks anyway. So what's oil doing right now? Well, it came down and tested right where it broke out. Come down and tested it right across here, a little higher, but you know, we had a line drawn here for some reason. What did we have a line drawn? It was a big swing. So that's what they do, is they check these lines, and you draw double lines on your charts and you'll be amazed. You could have been in this trade long. If you traded after hours, you could have been in like that. Okay? Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And we'll do this tomorrow in the room in real time. And let's see if we can all get nicely green, and we'll turn off the machines when we do. Let's see, Jeff. Watched Charles' webinar last night. He showed Charles is he is strictly mid-band trades. I mean, he'll occasionally take one of mine, but as a rule, he is only mid-band trades. You know, for instance, if you miss this down here, you'd pretty much have to box it in here, wouldn't you? You know, something like this. The way it's sitting right now, you pretty much have to draw this big old box. I don't like a box quite that big. But I would probably take it if it was the right time of day, that is, if this popped up above that and stayed above at least this candle one back. I will let it go back in the box sometimes, but I usually won't let it go. You know, like if it's going to fake you, they'll usually pop it out, pull back, and then go. You don't want them to take out that second candle back for sure. Because if they do, then they really weren't doing what you thought they were doing. Okay? See everybody in the morning. Thanks for coming. Oh, Chris, on your question. Yeah, basically this trade, when we were in the room this morning, we called out 96. Remember? Let me see where it was here. This one was the one I called at the open of the market. This is the one that we called right here. And we had drawn on our chart, remember right here? That trade right there, you just pretty much, we had the line drawn, and that trade was taken right there at that line. And that one you had to get in. Remember, I even said I was filled at 58. I remember that this morning. And 58 was just literally the close of that bar, or it was at least trying to close up and click market order. Okay? But why did we know that this was heading up? Because you double bottom down here. When they double bottom like that, they're going to take out this swing. And if they take out that swing and come back and kiss the previous left swing, they'll usually head up, and that's where we drew that line. Okay? All right, we'll see everybody in the morning. Thanks again.